Perhaps you know this scene very well. From the outside, everything seems in order. You meet your deadlines. You show up prepared, people rely on you and often say with admiration that you are so capable, so strong, so put together. And yet, when the door closes and the light is off, your body tells another story. Your shoulders are tight. Sleep does not come easily. Inside, you feel a quiet, constant pressure, as if you are always behind, always on the verge of failing some invisible test. Today, I would like to speak with you about this experience. Some call it high functioning anxiety. I would describe it as a life built on the outside on achievement and reliability, but driven on the inside by fear and by a deep question. Am I really worth anything if I am not always doing more? Now, let us consider this more gently together. In my work, I often began with a simple observation. Every human being starts life small, dependent, and unsure. From this, we develop feelings of inferiority, a sense of not yet, of not enough. These feelings are not a defect. They are the starting point of growth, the beginning of our striving to become capable, helpful, and fully human. But when this striving is guided by fear rather than courage, it can take a painful form. Instead of moving toward contribution, we begin to run from the fear of being exposed as inadequate. On the surface, we may look successful. Inside, we feel chased. Perhaps you recognize this in yourself. Your day is full of tasks and achievements, but the inner question is not, how can I be of use? It is, how can I make sure no one sees my weakness? How can I prove that I am not a failure? So let us place a simple guiding question at the center of our reflection and return to it again and again. Am I trying to prove my worth, or am I trying to contribute? Imagine a young professional. Let us say she is in her 30s, working in a busy office. Her colleagues praise her as reliable. She never misses a deadline, answers emails late into the night, remembers every detail. On the day of an important presentation, she has prepared 3 versions of the slides. She has checked them again and again. The night before, she wakes at 3 in the morning with a rush of fear. What if they ask a question I cannot answer? What if they finally see that I am not as competent as they think? Outwardly she is high functioning. Inwardly she is exhausted. From an Adlerian perspective, we do not ask, what is wrong with her? We ask, what is this way of living for? What is she trying to secure or avoid? If we listen closely, we may hear a private logic beneath her anxiety. If I am perfect, I will be safe. If I never make a mistake, they will accept me. If I keep achieving, I might finally feel that I am enough. This is the voice of an old feeling of inferiority. Still active, still frightened. It has turned her natural striving into a race she cannot win. Now, let us return to our central question and ask it in another way. In this situation, is she trying to prove that she matters, or to be of use to others? When we live to prove ourselves, our attention narrows. We focus on the scoreboard of our own worth. Did I perform well enough? Did I impress them? Did I avoid criticism? But human beings do not find deep peace in this narrow circle. We are not made only to protect our own image. We are made to belong, to cooperate, to contribute. This sense of connectedness, of caring for others and feeling cared for in return, I have called social interest. When social interest is alive, Our striving changes in quality. We still work, we still learn and improve. But the inner question becomes different. Instead of, how do I prove I am valuable? It becomes, how can I be helpful here? Even with my limits. Now I invite you to stay with this thought. What would change in your day if, just once, in a moment of pressure, you quietly ask yourself, right now, am I trying to prove my worth or to contribute? Consider another scene. A parent, perhaps you yourself, trying to hold everything together. Work, family, emails, school messages, housework. You try to be the reliable one at the office and the patient one at home. When your child forgets something for school, you immediately feel it as your failure. When there is conflict or mess, you feel you should have anticipated it, prevented it, fixed it already. Late at night, when the children are finally asleep, you sit surrounded by dishes and to-do lists. Your body is tired, but your mind continues. There is still so much to do. I have no right to rest. If I let anything slip, everything will fall apart. Again, from the outside, people might say, you are amazing. I do not know how you do it. Inside, you feel anything but amazing. You feel as though you are always one step away from collapsing here. 2. The question of purpose is important. For whom are you really doing all this? Is it purely out of love, or has fear quietly joined the effort? If the secret goal is, I must be perfect to be a good parent, partner, colleague, then rest will always feel forbidden. Any sign of imperfection will feel like a threat to your basic worth. But if the goal is, I wish to contribute to the well-being of my family and community as a human being with limits, then something softens. You begin to see that your children do not need a flawless parent. They need a present, engaged, and reasonably rested one. The courage to be imperfect is not an excuse to be careless. It is the decision to live as a whole human being rather than as a performance. Now, let us bring our guiding question close to your own heart again. In the way I am living today, am I trying to prove that I am acceptable, or to participate and belong as I really am? High-functioning anxiety often keeps us locked in a small, lonely world. We appear confident, but we do not feel deeply connected. We fear that if we slow down, if we show our doubts or our tiredness, others will reject us. This is where encouragement becomes vital. By encouragement, I do not mean flattery or empty praise. I mean the gentle recognition of courage and effort. For example, if you say to yourself at the end of a hard day, today I was very tired, and still I tried to listen to my colleague with interest, you are not judging yourself on perfection. You are seeing your striving to contribute, even under pressure. When we speak to ourselves only in criticism, we strengthen the anxious belief that we must earn our right to exist. When we speak to ourselves with encouragement, we begin to trust that we have a place among others, even when we are imperfect. I would like to offer you two very small experiments to try in the coming days. These are not tests to pass. They are invitations to gently shift from proving to contributing. First, choose one ordinary task where you usually strive for perfection. It might be an email, a report, a household chore, a message to a friend. This time, instead of polishing it again and again, pause and ask, what is the real purpose here? How can I be of use without exhausting myself? Then allow yourself to complete it at good enough, rather than impeccable. Send the email with one less revision. Leave a small non-essential detail unfinished. And as you do so, notice the anxiety that arises. You might hear a voice inside saying, "This is careless. This is dangerous." You do not need to silence this voice by force. Simply answer it quietly. I am learning to live as a human being among other human beings, not as a machine. Second, consider sharing one honest sentence with a trusted person about how you really feel. Not a dramatic confession, but a simple truth. For example, I often look like I am coping well, but inside I feel very tired and pressured, or sometimes I am afraid that if I slow down, people will think less of me. By doing this, you are practicing separation of tasks. Your task is to speak truthfully and respectfully about your inner life. How the other person responds is their task. Some may not fully understand. Others may respond with their own honesty and relief. In both cases, you have acted with courage and have taken a step toward real belonging. Now, let us return once more to the unity of your life, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, the story you tell yourself about who you must be. All of these form a style of life. High functioning anxiety is not just a collection of symptoms. It is a style of life organized around fear and compensation. I feel small, so I must appear big. I feel unsure, so I must never show doubt. I feel unworthy, so I must never stop earning my place. But you are not a prisoner of this style. Human beings are creative. We can reinterpret our past, make new decisions, and choose a different direction. You might begin simply by asking, perhaps each morning or each evening, in what small way today can I shift from proving my worth to contributing to the life of others? Some days, the answer will be modest. Today I will listen with more presence to one person. Today I will allow myself 10 minutes of rest without calling myself lazy. Today I will ask for help on one task instead of pretending I can do it all. These are not heroic gestures. They are quiet acts of courage that slowly reshape your inner world. Over time, as you practice this shift, your anxiety may not disappear entirely, but it can change its meaning. Instead of being a master that drives you, it becomes a signal that invites you to check your direction. When you notice the familiar tightening in your body, you might ask, have I again stepped into the old race of proving myself? Or can I turn back toward contribution, toward being a fellow human among fellow humans? Remember that you are not alone in this struggle. Many people who appear confident, organized, and successful are carrying the same hidden fatigue. They, too, long not only to achieve, but to belong. They, too, wish to feel that their life has meaning beyond the next task on the list. If you can see yourself not as a solitary performer on a stage, but as one participant in a community of imperfect, striving human beings, something softens inside. Your achievements can still matter, but they are no longer your only proof of existence. Your presence, your willingness to contribute, your kindness, your honesty, these also count, and perhaps they count more. As we come to a close, I would like to speak to you with simple encouragement. If you recognize yourself in these words, it is not because you are weak or flawed. It is because you have tried very hard to secure your place in the world, often without much guidance or understanding. You have carried a heavy load. Now you are beginning to ask a different question. Not, how can I keep up this performance? But how can I live in a way that is more truthful, more cooperative, more kind to myself and others? This is already a sign of courage. In the days ahead, May you experiment gently notice when you are trying to prove your worth. See if you can turn, even a little, toward contribution and belonging. Allow yourself the dignity of being a human being who is learning, not a machine that must never fail. And if you find any of these reflections helpful, you might choose to return to them or to share them with someone who lives with the same quiet pressure. In doing so, you will already be contributing, not only through your achievements, but through your understanding and encouragement. Step by step, we can move from a life driven by fear to a life guided by the wish to be of use together with others, and as we truly are. Thank you for taking this time to reflect with me. If something in these thoughts has been helpful or encouraging, you might choose to subscribe to this channel, to like this video, or to share it with someone who could use a little support just now. In this way, we stay connected and continue to grow together in courage and in a sense of belonging.